I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough. See what's next. Birds don't just fly. They fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I could fail.
Welcome everybody to the Zootopia Minute podcast, where we review and analyze the award-winning movie Zootopia 1 minute at a time. I am your host, Choco. I am joined this week by my co-host.
Simul, I am back as always. How is everybody doing today?
We are good, and this week we are joined by a special guest, my old co-hosting partner and Simul's doppelganger, Flavin.
Hello, everybody.
Are you my
I am-
doppelganger? I don't know if I've been told about that.
Evidently. Although, no, actually, I will tell you, Simul, there is one thing where we very strongly disagree, and that is, I think that the full 26-letter keyboard layout on the BlackBerry was fantastic. I loved that phone.
All right,
I had a very hard time switching.
I see. Well, sorry to interrupt so soon. Please tell us about yourself.
Well, I mean, I became famous in the pony fandom for doing an Ask blog, one of those. I still do art here and there, but I've mostly been focusing on my own studies as an industrial designer. You'll see me at cons here and there, but
So, Flavin and I, we also hosted a podcast in the pony fandom called
You don't
the
have
Tumblr
to search for it.
Podcast.
you really
well,
don't have to search for it.
We had some
No,
good
it's fine.
episodes.
It's fine. No, yeah, okay, but no, it's fine.
Flavin
It wasn't
also...
on a
Keep
wasn't
that
our
buried,
fault.
I guess.
It was neither of our fault. Well,
I know. I think we had some good episodes. We were the one who broke the sweet cider apple con massacre.
Oh yes,
that
we were on the bleeding edge of some huge brony news scoops.
And Flavin's also as well as being an artist, he vended with me at some of my first pony conventions. So for the earliest time, our booth table was called Chocolate Bagel, combining FlavinBagel and
That's
Chocolate
awesome.
Pony. And Flavin also is an awesome cosplayer in his own right, and he's well known for doing a David Tennant 10th Doctor cosplay.
Oh, so you are my doppelganger then?
Yeah, that's where he gets it. I mean, someday we'll meet and there will be a horrible fusion reaction and the world will implode, but till then...
Look at it from my perspective. You guys are both David Tennant lookalikes. You both wear those dorky glasses. You both were
thanks.
These are stylish.
podcast.
Excuse you.
Hey,
You're
speak for
both
yourself,
podcasting
Choco.
co-hosts. And you both actually, Flavin, when you were doing co-hosting the podcast with me, you also did the audio editing. So both of you guys also are the audio editors for these podcasts.
Well, have you also noticed that you've never seen us in the same room together?
That is
very
true.
good
Very
point.
suspicious.
Flavin is actually just a voice I'm doing.
All right. Well, turning back to Zootopia, we actually have a lot of big announcements before we move into our minute. But Zootopia has won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature,
Heck yes.
and has also won the Golden Tomato Awards for the Best Animated Feature and Best Wide Release. And it also won the African American Film Critics Association Award for Best Animated Film. So there we go. Zootopia just sweeping it away with the awards this season.
All well deserved. I mean, goodness. Flavin, have you seen this movie before?
Well, I have, yeah.
Yeah. How many times?
57.
That's impressive.
We actually, Flavin and I think we actually saw it live together with Ahmed
We did.
at BabsCon.
Yes. That wasn't
goodness,
that wasn't my
that's
first time. I think that was my third time seeing it though. But yeah, we saw it together in
yeah.
California.
I think that was my third time as well. Yeah, but we saw it together at the Bay Area Brony convention last year. So this is a movie that we actually did see in person together.
Yeah, but I've still never met Simul.
Maybe we have. Have you been to... I don't know. Have you been to Everfree?
No,
He is
but
going
I am.
to Seattle.
I am actually. I'm going to the. My sister lives in Portland. I'm going to be visiting her and going up to Seattle in spring break.
Nice.
If you got a warm table, you could drop a line. You could meet for lunch. I don't know if you know a good place or not.
Good. I know plenty of places. The food here is fantastic. If you like,
actually, I do know that.
Seafood or Asian food.
Mm-hmm.
Or Asian seafood.
Oh God.
Or
Pike
sea Asian
Street
food.
Marketplace. Oof.
All right, so I suppose we should jump right into our minute. I don't know if we mentioned it before, we might have forgotten, but we are on minute 16 of Zootopia, and that begins right as Bogo is acknowledging, yes, the very first rabbit officer on the police force, and her assignment is parking duty, and it goes all the way until Judy, having partaken this task of parking duty, hears some sort of alarm in her little ticket car. She hears a parking meter go off.
That is correct. So for those of you following along, we start when Chief Bogo says, and finally, our first bunny. So again, with tradition of the previous minutes, we always leave on cliffhangers. So now we know that he's saying our first bunny cop.
Yep.
All right.
Bunny cop.
So what did you guys think about this minute?
Oh boy.
I really got gypped. This is a dumb minute. No,
Yeah, it's not a super action-y minute, I know. But still some good substance there, I think. Definitely, I think we talked about this a bit last episode as well, but you can certainly tell she is indeed the first rabbit officer, considering how huge this room is compared to her. All these massive chairs, this massive table. And so, Judy, at the very beginning of this minute, she's very excited to hear her assignment because in this previous minute, we just got told, wow, there's a ton of missing mammals. Someone's kidnapping people or, they're just going missing. No one knows why. They're all predators. It's weird. It's crazy. She's super interested in this. And so when she hears, hey, your first assignment, Bunny Cop, is going to be parking duty, she's understandably maybe a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, and there's obviously this big buildup of, all the other, in the previous minute, all of the other guys got all this big role on this case, the one thing he's talking about. And then, of course, when it just comes down to her, she realizes, oh, I'm alone, and I'm going to be doing the grunt work. Which is, what they do in police, I assume.
Yeah. And I mean, that's...
Especially for rookies.
Yeah, it's kind of...
no. Yes.
But it's partly hazing, but it's seen more as just her treatment of, that's how they're going to treat her because of what she is. She's the bunny.
Well, that's the thing. Is it really that the chief is just skeptical that a bunny can do the work, or is this the sort of thing that'd be expected for a new recruit? Because personally, the first time I watched this movie, I thought, okay, I can get why you can be a little bit disappointed for having that assignment, but can you really be surprised? I mean, you're brand new. Yeah, you were top of your class, but you're the new guy, You're gonna have to go through the motions of taking on the more menial tasks. I feel like that's to be expected.
But she's so ambitious. I think it is in at least some part the fact that she is a bunny. I think there is some of that, oh, look at you, you're so meek, you can't do anything. Because that's such a big theme throughout this whole movie is, behind prejudice of who you are. I particularly like, there's kind of some juxtaposition where she says to Bogo, I am not just a token bunny. And then within like a few seconds later, once he leaves, she starts kind of rabbit footing.
Yeah,
kind of a very quintessential
like
bunny thing, where your foot just keeps tapping really fast.
Yeah, actually a carryover from the previous minute, we actually got a comment on the previous episode where one of the commenters says the name Delgado actually means cat in Spanish. So
yeah, so thank you to whoever pointed that out. That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you to Gordon for pointing that out. So
that was the one comment.
It would mean like of cats, though. Del is of or relating
of
to.
cats. Well,
So
makes sense. I had no idea though.
Yeah, we don't see any other animals in this. We just see Judy and Bogo, and then we see her
Chief,
in her
buy one get one.
Yeah, we see her in her
that's
cute
exactly
little.
what I thought too.
We see her in her cute little go-kart. But what actually interests me is the traffic cones in the go-kart actually had zebra stripes on them. So the white and yellow on the traffic cones are in the pattern of zebra stripes.
I bet there was some committee when they were making this movie that went back and like examined all the footage and said, can we fit even more weird visual gags into this or weird animal puns,
Yeah.
well,
it's
that's
like
the entire...
I believe it was Tabitha St. Germain who pointed out at some convention somewhere that oftentimes they'll be reading the script for MLP and they'll point out to the writers where they missed an opportunity to make another horse pun.
Is that true? I didn't know that. That's amazing. That is
Tabitha is
that's
really
the best
sweet.
fact ever.
Tabitha is fun.
I met her. Met her again at the previous pony convention, Pacific PonyCon. Apparently, my booth was used as a backdrop for a lot of photos because it was right in front of her booth.
Right?
But she was eyeing my tarot cards from across the way, and she sent one of her helpers to go buy a deck of tarot cards from me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then she later tweeted a picture. She took a picture of me. And then she tweeted it and called me a Renaissance man, so that was very sweet of her.
Oh, man.
That's apt. I'd say that's apt.
Tabitha for Best Saint Germain 2017.
Of all the Saint Germains I've met, and believe me, I've met...
The only other
there's
Saint
one.
Germain I've
She's the
met
best.
is an elderflower liqueur, but it is fantastic.
Well, sadly, after she had to leave Saturday night, and Sunday she actually had to go into an operation to, I think, get part of her appendix removed.
Oh, God.
But
Wait,
so
just part of it?
Yeah,
I take out the whole thing.
it might be the whole thing, but I guess it was successful, and she left San Diego tweeting at "I left a part of me in San Diego." So
Embarrassing if an appendectomy goes wrong. That's a
yeah.
Anyway.
Boy.
Zootopia. So in the shots where you see Judy kind of going around the city, did you notice the tire marking shot where she's just a long shot straight down when she's marking the tires with the chalk?
Oh yeah, she's like putting that little cane along and just tapping them. Is that does that serve a purpose, or is that?
Yeah. So that's a thing that real traffic ferries or parking ferry meter maids do. So basically, it's, you know how there's like a 2-hour limit thing or a 1 hour. So they'll go by, if there's a 1 hour parking zone, they'll go by once every hour, and then if they go by, twice and your car's still there, it still has your same chalk mark on it, then they know that you've been
Oh, it's
there.
marking them with chalk. I thought she was
that's what it
literally
is.
just tapping them.
If you notice, you might sometimes after you park downtown, you might come back and find chalk on your wheel.
Interesting. I
You have to
never
keep
knew
an eye out,
that.
though. Yeah,
I learned
But-
something today.
that's a real life thing that they do.
That makes
And
sense.
I like how all the cars definitely have their own unique animalistic personalities. Like there's this big square gray SUV and this little mid-size, and of course the giraffe car, which we see in the next minute, I believe.
Yeah. Well, okay. What I think is kind of strange is that her car, Judy's car, is clearly built for someone her size, right? Like a very, very small mammal.
That's
but if
true.
she's
Where
the
did they
first
get it?
rabbit, did they have other cops that were that size but just not rabbits that use that car, or did they have to custom make this parking car for her?
I'll bet it was like an ADA thing, except not disabilities, just small mammals. And so the police force is legally obliged to have the all size, and that was just the one thing they have lying around. So obviously, it's not very maintained or
Maybe
fast.
it used to be like a bomb squad robot, and they just modified it.
They use it for their golf caddies.
Well, maybe that's why that's the only job they assigned her, because that's the only vehicle we have that could fit her, so might as well give it to her.
Yeah, the big 4x4 is they had to special order it.
Yeah, I just find it interesting because, I mean, the room she comes out of has all this furniture meant for very large ungulate animals, and it's this tiny car when there's no hint of anyone else that small. I guess we saw a fox.
They
That is
knew
very
that
appropriate, yeah.
they knew that she was going to be there ahead of time, so they had to have
No,
prepared something.
that's a good observation, though. I think the card is more not as much for a sensible consistency as it is for symbolizing her physical inability to be as effective and forceful as everyone around her. It's to be like, look, here's this thing she has that's really slow and stupid, and the only person she managed to pull over was a pedestrian. Later on.
Right, I wonder how fast that thing can go. Like, what's the top speed that thing can make?
Well, I ride around town on a scooter that has a top speed of about 32, depending on how much I've had for breakfast.
Same, yeah. I ride around in a scooter a lot, more
Really?
so during the summer, just because it's a bit wet and.
I was gonna say
like a
in the
death
rain that
trap
must
in
be
this-
hard.
Yeah, I tend to avoid it in the rain, but during the summer, it's a lot of fun. Little motor scooter, just like a 49cc engine or something like that.
Yep, that's what I got. Chinese something ungodly.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
looks cool.
as reluctant or I guess disappointed as Judy was to receive such a menial task as parking duty, she at least tackles it with a sense of getting it done. She says, you know what? Okay, if the chief really needs proof that I'm up to it, I might as well start with a small task. She says, you know what? He assigned me to do 100 tickets. I'm not going to do 100 tickets. I'm going to do 200 tickets. all before noon.
Yes, I love that. She's so ambitious. She's setting her own goals to trump the goals that she was given. She just wants to overperform.
Don't say Trump. We're too close. Too close.
I did not. It's also an actual word. I'm moving to Canada.
That's actually a very gung-ho attitude. In fact, that's kind of what my dad told me when I first went to military academy. He's like, if the sergeant gives you 20 push-ups, say that you'll do 23 for the Corps or something like that. So you have to try to over-motivate yourself.
Your
in that
dad
type of
sounds
way.
fun.
Yeah,
my dad's a Marine, so.
But Judy is doing this for herself, not for your dad.
Yeah.
You don't know that. Don't make assumptions.
This has all been for Choco's dad this whole time.
Do it because
In
I
the
told
credits,
you so.
just
Because
the
you
whole
told me
movie's
so.
dedicated.
Because you told me so. Yeah, thinking about Chief Bogo, I just want to look at this guy because we already got introduced to him the previous minute and a half. But it's kind of interesting. Part of it, you notice how his very top button on his uniform is undone. Apparently.
Oh, really?
Apparently, that was actually based off of real life, super huge buff police and fire department employees who actually physically could not button their top button because they're just so well built.
It's a
So
status
obviously-
symbol. It's like, look at my muscles. I can't even button my whole shirt.
Yeah.
Flavin, you're
obviously
actually right. It's they actually addressed this in the concept book. Let me see if I can find the page.
Oh, yeah, you have the concept book.
They specifically said when designing Bogo, all the designs of him just look off. They didn't know what was wrong, and they looked at a bunch of buff police officers, and they found that they never buttoned the top button. And thinking back, especially in military academy, some of our TAC officers were very, very buff Marines, and yeah, they would never button their top shirt like that. So it's, I guess it's
So I
something...
didn't realize that. So
Yeah.
it was an actual visual necessity, not just a little throw-in attention to detail thing. It was actually...
That is interesting, isn't it?
That is.
Yeah, if you look at some of the previous concept pieces of Bogo with the buttoned-up shirt, it just doesn't look right. So, yeah, I guess it makes it look better now. It works. So,
You guys had talked about accents at some point, and they didn't even mention Chief Bogo, who, of course, Idris Elba, fantastic voice, and he's got it on full force with his native Londoner accent.
Yeah, we brought that up a bit in the last minute. How he's the one guy with this accent.
Well,
So
no, he's not the only one. Remember, in episodes in minutes to come, there is of course the Mr. Big.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler. I don't understand that though. Everyone who's listening has
I
seen the
know.
movie.
Suspension of disbelief.
I feel like we should analyze this as a whole, but whatever.
Well, but it raises an interesting question of is that a regional thing? Is he from some
Yeah.
other part of the world where that accent?
Is there a
comes
furry
from?
London, and is there a furry Italy where Mr. Big comes from, and is
Furry
there a furry
London.
New Jersey where his daughter comes from?
New Fursey.
New Fursey.
New Fursey.
It sounds as terrible as it is.
So we see that
Claim artistic license.
So Flavin, didn't you say you noticed something about the posters in the background?
Yeah. Well, I paused and read them all because
In the bullpen?
What else am I gonna do? There is like
Yeah.
a community watch poster with cat eyes, which is
Yeah, there was like a tip hotline type deal.
yeah. But it's all actually like things you would probably actually see in a police. Like it's no little in jokes or
Yeah, nothing seemed too Easter
your
eggy.
name here or hey my name. It's not like the Judy's Neighbors where they threw in the two directors as the voices for him, or they're like, hey, here's an in joke for us to play around.
Is that
with.
true? I don't.
Yeah,
think I
yeah. So
realized that.
Judy's Neighbors are played by Byron Howard and what's his name? Something Bush. Jared Bush. Jeb
George
Bush?
W.
No, that's wrong. George. Both wrong. Yeah, basically they voiced him while they were boarding it, and they just said, why hire people? This is fine.
Interesting. I actually did not know that.
I'm sorry, I'm outside of my jurisdiction though. That's not this minute.
No worries. All right. So anything else you noticed from this minute?
No, that's it. We've analyzed
It wasn't
to
a
death, I think.
super chock full of content minute, for sure. It was a decent minute.
Yeah, it was, it had some stuff to go on, but
But the movie wouldn't make sense without it.
that's
Every
yeah.
minute is important.
This was a necessary minute. It was a minute of necessity.
It is.
Why do you think she
Ooh.
has multiple size traffic cones? Usually there's
Oh,
only
man.
one size.
So what what would your zoo Sona be, Flavin?
Oh yeah, that's true. I have
Because
to draw, I have to draw
Choco,
the
you have to
title
draw
card.
it. You have to draw him into
True,
the
you don't
thing.
have. You have to.
I
know,
was
this
just
is-
going to copy and paste your bunny Sona Simul.
Don't
Flavin.
do
Well,
it.
you-
Copy and paste. So lazy.
You know, the reason that I got a pony version of myself was so that Choco could draw it. Before then, I never really thought about it.
I went so long without a pony OC, like several years before I actually.
It's kind of funny.
I would
because,
have if it weren't for this guy.
So Flavin, I kind of forced you to have a pony
Yeah.
Sona,
No,
and
you
Simul,
did.
I kind of forced you to have a Fursona.
Yeah, no, oh, yeah,
Zootopia.
that was the funniest thing. It was he before we started doing this podcast, he messages me on Twitter and he's like, "So, do you want to be the rabbit or the fox? Or I can just make you whatever animal you want." I'm like, "Okay, there's no way you're just subtly forcing me to make a fursona on the spot right now. That's not happening." But of course, we all know they're not fursonas, they're zoosonas.
I've
We're
decided
not
my
furries.
Zoosona, Choco. I've decided what you should draw me as.
All right.
I want to be the ambiguously lesbian honey badger from the concept book.
Oh my gosh.
The honey badger?
Yeah, the honey
Badger,
badger.
don't give it a
Honey,
name.
that's her name. She was great. I mean, they had to remove her as an ambiguously gay but it doesn't matter character and place her with Clawhauser, the ambiguously gay but it doesn't matter character.
Is he ambiguously gay?
It doesn't matter.
Okay then. Fair enough.
His lifestyle is none of your goddamn business.
I want to look up this honey badger. I'm going to
Yeah,
Google
me
it right
too.
now.
Oh yeah,
Alright.
that's your one Googling.
The
All
rule
right.
we don't pay attention to at all.
So Flavin, since this minute was a bit sparse, you actually we'll give you the floor for what else you want to talk about. Now, you did say you're an avid listener of the podcast, and you had
Yeah.
some criticism of our last podcast episode, didn't you?
Oh, I just had a couple of notes. There was actually one thing. This wasn't a criticism, though. All of mine. It's too far in the past now that it doesn't matter. But I did want to talk about that polar bear from the training scene a few minutes ago.
a few minutes ago. In reality, a few months ago. But
Well, a few Zootopia minutes
Yes.
ago. Title drop.
it's like a New York minute. A Zootopia
But something
minute.
I kind of noticed, if you look at her, that polar bear coach, there's nothing about her design that's particularly feminine at all. In fact, she looks like if she had a male voice coming out of her mouth, you would not really like it would be exactly as normal. She's just looks like a bear. I was
Could be.
almost wondering if she was originally animated as a male character and then they traded her to female for the sake of the joke where they're in the bathroom together. But that's purely speculation
Yeah,
on my
that would
part.
be kind of weird without that.
That
huh?
is true.
I mean, I don't know. They could have designed it from the beginning to be like, here, this character's female now. Why? Who cares? What should she look like? That. Okay, that's fine.
Maybe they'll port it when they port it over to other countries. The dubbing in other languages will have
when
it
they
a male
port it
character.
to Xbox.
Yeah, because that
maybe.
happens from time to time. just
Anyone
in
know?
different
Anyone know the
dubs.
Chinese version or maybe the? Because I mean, they changed other parts of the movie depending on the region.
They did. Let's talk about that when we get to it. But there were some pretty cool things they did
yeah.
with localization for sure. Ah, that's my phone. I should have silenced that.
Just play along,
Anyway,
pretend it's part of the movie.
I looked up that honey badger and I see what you mean. It's kind of butch looking, I guess, would be the
Yes.
the term.
She
Is
could
that-
potentially be a lesbian, but that's not really relevant to the story. So good for her.
Ah,
So
I
why
see.
did this? What was this character intended to be? Was it meant to be like an integral character, or
You know how Clawhauser was originally going to be like Nick's sidekick? She was kind of in the mix too. She was going to be in on the whole plan because honey
What-
badgers are predators as well. So
wait,
was
wasn't
gonna-
she the like scientist? In
Yeah,
the
she becomes a doctor. They
That's right,
reused
yeah,
her
she was
model
the
for a
doctor.
doctor later. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
man.
Interesting. So did end up just sort of went through a little bit of a redesign there.
It's amazing what this movie could have been. I'm very glad it is what it is, though. I think it was for the best.
She reminds me of as the scientist. She reminds me of Alphys from
Alphys?
Undertale.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. A little bit. Probably less anime on her computer, though.
Especially just this particular image that I found, which I will
yeah.
link to you guys.
Yeah, link me.
It's
I
just
gotta
that
see this.
pose. It's very Alphys-like.
That
the
that
look
is
of
actually-
concern.
all right, I now see exactly what you mean. Yes, I'm dying. Yeah, I don't know what she says.
I still haven't actually beaten that game. I've had it for a year. I got up. I'm stuck fighting Metaton X. I cannot tank all the damage. Griffin told me I need to go and grind for glam burgers.
Grind
That'll
for
work.
clam burgers. I'll just ask my sister how it ends.
Well, it
Here.
ends multiple different ways, doesn't
Oh,
it?
that's true. Yes.
Well, thank you, Flavin, for joining us for this episode. We hope
Absolutely.
you join us for some future episodes down the line.
Yes.
That is your call.
Yes, I'm really glad we finally have a guest.
Yes.
How does it feel to be honored with being the very first guest?
I am honestly very honored because I know that you said on the podcast that you had a lot of big plans for a guest, and you picked me.
We've been having some guests lined up, but
You scraped the bottom of the barrel, and there I was.
Well, we officially wanted to have Alex Robinson and Pete the Retailer, the host of the Star Wars Minute, as our first
Star Wars
official
Minute.
guest, but we just couldn't find the time to schedule them. So at the moment, we are scheduling just other people until we could get them on as our first official guest. But at the moment, you are kind of our semi-official first guest.
It's totally official. It happened.
Yeah.
No denying that.
Well, I'm very, very glad I could disappoint you guys.
Well,
Choco,
where can they?
Simul.
Well,
The pleasure's ours.
if they're interested in following you, where can they follow you?
Yes.
Probably the best ways to follow me right now would be my Tumblr, where I mostly just reblog stuff, or better yet, my Twitter and my Instagram, where I have original stuff. All three are FlavinBagel. One word, you know the rest.
And what does Flavin mean?
That's my last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is my real last name.
For some reason, like when I read it, it sounded like faux Yiddish or something.
Flavin, hi.
Flavin.
Yes.
Flying Livin.
Hi,
Flying Livin.
hi. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
It is also the catchphrase of the Jerry Lewis-inspired Professor Frank. Or just Jerry
Yeah.
Lewis, I don't know. One of the two.
All right. Well, all that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to the Zootopia Minute podcast. If you enjoyed us, please give us a follow on Twitter at Zootopia Minute. Also a real quick announcement. As some of you may have noticed, we are no longer right now putting our audio on SoundCloud. We're looking at alternate options for that right now. So if you look down in the description, the download link will be available off of Google Drive, I believe is what we settled on. But yes, thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. And if you have anything to tell us, any art you want to send us, theories, anything of that sort, tweet at us, message us, email us, zootopiaminute@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And yeah, let us know if you were listening on SoundCloud and you still want to support that. And we might be getting a Patreon started soon, so if that actually sparks your interest, let us know.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great evening. Take it easy.